Welcome to School Zone, the show all about your local school districts here in the White Mountains. I'm your host, John Larsen. Today we have Mr. Bill Crawford, Culinary Arts Instructor at the Show Low High School. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you're here. I appreciate you taking the time to come and visit with us. I'm really excited about visiting with you because I'm not really super versed on the CTE courses and what it's all about. So before we really get started, what I'd like to know is I'd like to know a little bit about you. Tell me about yourself,
Okay.
you know, where you're from, your schooling, and anything else you'd like us to know.
All right. My name is William Crawford, but I go by Bill. I was born and raised in Arizona, born in southeastern Arizona in a little town called Safford.
Oh,
So I'm one of the
wow.
few true Arizona natives. Third generation, by the way. My grandfather was even born in Arizona.
Wow.
Moved around a lot as a kid. Met my wife at high school, at Westwood High School in Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, me too. Warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. What year did you graduate?
1981.
Oh, well, I was 85, so you were just a little bit
older.
ahead of me. Yeah, you probably know some of my siblings, I'm sure.
Possible.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm more introverted, so I wasn't really a social butterfly, but married my high school sweetheart 5 days after I turned 18 years old.
Wow.
Still married to her today.
Good for you.
We have 5 kids, 15 grandkids. Got out of school, and I actually went into the automotive field, went and got a certificate from the Phoenix Institute of Technology to work on cars, because it's what I thought I wanted to do. Worked on cars for a while, spent 5.5 years in the military as an infantry soldier, learning to jump out of airplanes and rappel out of helicopters.
Nice. And they weren't broke or anything? You
No,
just
we
jumped out of them.
perfectly good airplanes. Just jump right out. Have a good day. Decided that I went and actually taught school at UTI, Universal Technical Institute. While I was there, I decided that I really didn't like the automotive world as much, and decided to figure out what my passion was. And I love cooking food and watching people eat food and everything like that. So I opened a catering company and catered for 7 years, and then went and got my bachelor's degree and my associate's degree in hospitality management and restaurant management for my bachelor's degree from Le Cordon Bleu.
Oh, wow. Wow, impressive. Very
So,
good. Very good. How long ago was that?
That I got my degree. I
Yeah.
finished it in 2015.
Oh, so pretty recent?
Pretty
Relatively
recent, yeah.
And so what have you been doing since you got that degree?
I stayed in the automotive world, was selling service, tires. I worked for Harrelson Tire Company down in Taylor. And then the opportunity opened up at Show Low High School, so I interviewed for the job, and now I get to teach people about restaurant operations and how to cook food in a restaurant and make it safe. And
Awesome. So how long you lived up here in the Show Low area?
2 years.
2 years. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great. Wow, super. That's great. I'm glad that you've taken the opportunity. I'm impressed with the fact that you did some higher education after high school. I think that's really important. I like for the kids, especially the kids in the area, to know that they can go on and do something, even if it's a tech school. You know, I mean that's higher education, improving their ability to make a living and take care of their families when they're out of high school. So I'm really impressed with that. Thanks. And my wife always says she wants to go back and go to Le Cordon Bleu. So
Well, now you got to go to France.
Yeah, very
they
cool.
closed all the schools.
Did they really?
Yeah, they closed them all in the United States due to federal government regulations.
Wow.
So,
Okay. Well, cool.
Whole nother story.
Yeah. Another interview, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you first. What is CTE? Tell us. About it.
CTE is a acronym for Career Technical Education. And what it does is at the high school level, it gives the students an opportunity to explore classes that will make them viable in the job world right out of high school and during high school. They have more than a couple. I'll give you a few of them. I teach culinary arts. We have somebody that teaches business management. Somebody teaches early childhood development. Somebody else does photography. Somebody does construction. And it's a way for the student to go through and explore that without trying to go out and get a job and understand, oh, I don't like this. Mm-hmm. So it gives them a way to find out what their passion is, so that when they enter the workforce, they're not going in and doing something they don't like. They can actually find what they really enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's a great program, such a great program. I know I like to stress higher education after you leave high school, but some kids are going to, they want to be a mechanic, and
Right.
maybe they don't necessarily go to college for that, but
Right.
they go get a technical certification or something like similar to what you did. And so I love this program because it really offers those kids who feel like maybe a 4-year college bachelor's degree maybe isn't the way they want to
Right.
go. And I'm certain that if we looked at it, we'd probably find that some of those kids that go into the CTE courses end up deciding, yeah, I do want a bachelor's degree. I do want to go to a university or something like that. So it's such a great program. What are the benefits of the CTE program for the community?
The community gets students coming out of high school that, for instance, in culinary arts, they've already gone through a lot of the foundation stuff, the sanitation, how restaurants are run, why they have to keep things clean, what the state, federal, county standards are for keeping cleanliness, safety. They get to understand what food handling procedures are, so that when they go into the restaurant, they're already prepared with they know all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And the restaurant doesn't have to be like, okay, now I got to train somebody brand new from scratch. Mm-hmm.
Which saves them a little money, I'm sure.
Saves the restaurant a lot of money, because now they probably still have to go through the training, but maybe now they can do it a little faster. Mm-hmm. But it puts a employable person into the community right out of high school.
Great.
At a higher level than just that entry-level position.
So, Bill, tell me about culinary arts. Tell me what, I don't know if you want to start out by telling me what a day in the life of culinary arts is at the high school, or how you want to approach it. But tell me about culinary arts. I want to know about, I understand you have 3 different culinary arts classes. Mm-hmm. And so I want to know about that, from beginning to end.
Culinary arts is more than just cooking. That's what a lot of the students think. They think, well, I'm going to take culinary arts, I'm going to cook all the time. It's more than just cooking. Like I said, it's building a foundation base so that they can get employed at a better level. Maybe start out, instead of minimum wage, they get another $1 an hour or whatever. But our culinary arts classes, we have Culinary Arts 1, Culinary Arts 2, and Culinary Arts 3. Culinary Arts 1 starts out with the foundation of what is restaurant sanitation. How do we wash dishes in a restaurant compared to washing them at home? How do we wash tables off compared to washing them at home? For instance, at home, you wash a table and dishes, you wash them, rinse them, put them away, and you might even hand dry them with a towel. In the restaurant, we don't do that. They actually wash dishes, they rinse dishes, they sanitize them, and they let them air dry, because that hand towel that's been sitting in the back may have bacteria on it and you can't see it. So now you hand dry the dishes, now you've got bacteria on them. Same thing with the tables. They have to learn how to do it. They have to learn where food goes in a refrigerator, how to do first in, first out, so that they can get the food out. The first stuff they got the earliest is the stuff they're using next. What refrigerator temperatures are, where food is stored in a refrigerator compared to other things. So for instance, you don't store chicken above ground beef. You don't store chicken above meat, because chicken has a much higher cooking temperature, which means if you store it above a roast or a steak, and some of those chicken products or drippings might drip on that roast, it's not cooked to the right temperature. You haven't killed all the bacteria. So now you've got people that are getting sick right out of your restaurant, all because it was stored incorrectly. So they have to learn all the storing procedures. Then they learn about, and they get to learn acronyms that help them figure all that out. One of the acronyms they learn is called FAT-TOM. It stands for food high in protein, acidity, time, temperature, oxygen, and moisture. And those are the 6 things that really affect bacteria growth in food. So there's a certain amount of time that food can sit out. So let's say somebody was prepping potato skins. They get out the potatoes, they cut them, they peel the potato out of it, they get it all ready. If that sits out for more than 4 hours, they've got to throw it away, because now it may have so much bacteria on it that the cooking it may not kill all the bacteria. They've got what is known as the food temperature danger zone, 41 to 135 degrees. They get to learn all that. Then they get into the safety of how to operate in a restaurant, because restaurants operate gas grills, gas ovens, gas stoves. There's a fire safety issue right there. They've got extremely sharp knives that they have to worry about. How to make sure that their equipment's put away correctly at the end of the day, because in our classroom it's a lab as well, and it's treated like a restaurant. So they have to put everything away correctly. They've got to dry it, wash it. They got to do everything the way it would function as if they were in a restaurant. The Culinary 1 students then get to start learning about the basic types of foods. What are the different types of foods that are out there? The seasonings that go with them, the different spices that go with them. They get to learn about fruits and vegetables, how to cook them, why they're cooked certain ways, what happens if you cook something a certain way. And during all this, a lot of it's hands-on. So if you looked at, like, I wouldn't say a day in the life of a culinary student, a week. Day 1 might be a little bit of paperwork. They're spending some time doing some paperwork, writing some stuff down, trying to get it. Days 2, 3, and 4, Tuesday through Thursday, they're probably trying to use, we're using some sort of hands-on. We might have them, believe it or not, just wash dishes, just so they can figure out how to wash dishes. Wipe down counters. They're not even dirty yet. They're just learning to wipe down counters so they can understand the process. We might have them, for instance.
I'm assuming you have cleansers, certain cleansers
Right.
you'll use?
Right. There are 3 different sanitizers. Each one of them has a specific temperature the water can be at, so they get to learn all that as well, what everything is at.
This is way more involved than anybody would ever think, right?
Right. What's the concentration level of those sanitizers? Way more involved, because people think culinary, like I said, they think cooking.
Yeah.
I get to cook. Well,
Yeah, I'm worried about what I do at all the things you've said so far. I'm worried about how I'm handling stuff at home. I'm like, should I be worried about what I have in my fridge? And
if we followed the rules, yeah.
Right? Yeah, makes
Yeah,
you think.
it would affect us. And we'd find out we don't have enough refrigerator space.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
Then they get into spices, they get into vegetables, and then they get into cooking methods on how to cook beef, pork, chicken. And then they actually cook all that. And then that's what I'm saying. If you went through a week in a life, let's say on Monday we'd gotten through cooking methods and they were doing chicken. Monday we'd talk about chicken, how to cut up chicken, how to cook chicken. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they'd probably cut up some chicken, they'd cook it. Friday they'd review on what they did that week. And then later on in the course they would add sauces to it. So by the time Culinary 1's done, they're going to be making things like chicken enchiladas. They're going to have to cook the chicken, cut the chicken, make the sauce, put it all together, put it in the oven, bake it. When they're done, they've got chicken enchiladas. But it's a process that they went through all the way through it. Culinary 2, they then get to start advancing onto that. They'll start getting into exactly how to make an entire breakfast. We have a section that's called breakfast, and they'll have to learn how to make eggs 9 different ways.
Really?
So they have to scramble an egg, over easy an egg, over medium an egg, over hard an egg, soft boil, hard boil, poach, make an omelet. And there's I think there's one more. Then they've got to do 3 different breakfast meats they have to cook. Then they have to do breakfast potatoes, so they'll make like pan potatoes, hash browns, country potatoes. Then they've got to do breakfast breads, so they'll learn how to do pancakes, waffles, crepes. And then to finalize that for the Culinary 2 students, they would then have to put together a presentation of breakfast.
Really?
Where they have to put all of that together to create a breakfast that they would serve.
Very cool.
So to give you an example, if a student's gone through culinary arts, look at how much better prepared they are to work at Denny's as a line cook.
You bet.
Because they've already done all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then Culinary 3, they get a lot more advanced into doing like specialty desserts, specialty meals, a lot more advanced than what they're doing in Culinary 1. And in Culinary 3, we'd like them to, and we're going to encourage them to get an internship so that when they're out of school, they're actually going to work for not your fast food restaurants, but the sit-down.
Very cool. So let me ask a thought that came to my mind. I'm assuming, since you've got the 3 classes, I'm assuming if a kid comes in, he's got to start, or she's got to start in 1?
Actually, they start as freshmen.
Okay. What if a kid doesn't decide until he's a junior that he wants to
Then
get
he
into
can take Culinary 1.
Okay, so he
But
takes
they actually
1 and
start,
then 2.
They actually start as a freshman. We have a class that's called the Freshman Focus Class. And every 4.5 weeks, they cycle through all of the different CTE classes.
This is all the students at the school?
All the
Very
freshmen,
cool.
all the freshmen
that's
at the
great to
school
know.
cycle through all those classes so they can get an experience with that. And like what I do with my culinary students, and every class is a little bit different. What I do is we talk about what are the culinary jobs that are out there, and I have them look beyond. Again, we're not focusing on the fast food restaurant. We're focusing on the 3, 4-star Charlie Clark's, Cattleman's, Los Corrales, to name a few. There's a lot of others that qualify within there. I'm just not super familiar with them. But to get them in the door at those types of places. What we do with our freshman class, they'll look at that, culinary jobs. They'll look at what are some of the chefs, the more famous chefs out there. What have they done? What kind of things have they experienced out in their lives? What are some of their highest accomplishments? I give them the example of Bobby Flay. Bobby Flay was a chef that actually left the United States, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Iron Chef America. He was the actual one that brought that back to the United States. He went to Japan and won Iron Chef cooking Japanese food.
Impressive.
Over the Japanese.
Yeah.
So that's quite an accomplishment. So they can see that there's a lot that they can actually do, and they can accomplish a lot in this field. They're not limited to just, great, I'm a line cook somewhere. They can actually expand beyond. So then we get, chefs. We have to do them a couple chef bios. The freshmen, I have them do a culinary jobs poster, and I don't have them do reports. I want them doing posters, kind of making it fun for them. They actually do a poster that is on culinary schools that they can go to once they leave high school that can help them get a degree or certifications. We have them do a safety sheet. And then during our freshman focus class, I actually have them make, week 1, they're doing pretty much paperwork, that kind of stuff. Week 2, they make spaghetti. They actually have to cook it from scratch so they can see what the culinary classes are like. Week 3, they make cookies. And week 4, they make cupcakes. So they get to experience kind of what they're going to be doing in the culinary classes.
So I love the fact that our district has a way to allow these children to experience something that they might not even know that they enjoy it until they actually do it, right?
Right.
That's so great. So great. I appreciate that.
And that's kind of nice about the freshman focus class because it's 4.5 weeks in each one of them.
Right. Right. So one of the things, by the time the kids are done or somewhere between the beginning of Culinary Arts 1 and 3, can they get their food handler's card in there?
Not only can they get their food handler's card, part of our training is that we actually have access to the, it's called KP Compass. It's the Serve Safe training site online.
Oh, wow.
They can actually, we make it part of their course material, so they have to do it online. So, and we give it, it's kind of an incentive to do well on it because it's part of their grade. There's 16 tests that they get to take on specific areas. And then at the end of that, what level of students is determined by the district. They can actually take that course or the test proctored by one of our people at the school, and they can get their Serve Safe certificate. So they're ready to go into a restaurant already with basically their food handler's card in hand.
That's great.
And then if they're willing to put a little money into it, they can get their manager's card.
So that's available to them too.
Right.
Wow. So that's even another step up for them.
Right, which
Excellent.
gives them more ammunition when they fill out that application or that resume. I have this already, and it's from this company, which is a nationally recognized company.
Excellent. So you mentioned the test. What does a test look like for the culinary arts? I mean, I'm assuming you have some. I mean, when we think of a test, and we take a math test or something, what do they look like in culinary arts?
The Serve Safe test is all written, and it covers all of the basically what we call chapters 1 and 2 out of our textbook: sanitation, safety, health concerns, things like that. What we do in our class is, depending on whether it's culinary 1, 2, or 3, between 60 and 80% of their grade is based upon hands-on work.
Okay.
So they might, for instance, take a test over, let's say we have a chapter that's on fruits and vegetables. They'll take a test on fruits and vegetables. It might be worth 25 points. But then they'll do labs on fruits and vegetables that might be worth 200 points. So overall, that fruits
And that's
and
more of a
vegetable,
hands-on?
They have to actually cut the fruits, cut the vegetables,
and
peel
you're
the
observing
fruits,
whether they're
and
doing it the way
and
that
I'm
you've
walking around
instructed.
making, right.
Okay.
I have to demonstrate it first. show them what we want, then they have to proceed to perform it. If they're cooking, for instance, I talked about chicken enchiladas. We're going to demonstrate how to grill the chicken. We're going to demonstrate how to make the sauce. Then they have to grill the chicken, make the sauce, put it together, put it in the oven. They'll get a bigger grade on that because it's the hands-on. They're actually performing the work than what they would on the test portion, the written test portion. But the state has requirements that they have to, see if I can find the words they use, delineate or something like that, which means they have to be able to list them. And that has to be in test form. They have to be able to identify, that has to be in test form. But where it actually says demonstrate, then they have to actually perform and demonstrate that they know what they're doing.
Very good, very good. So I wanted to hit a couple of things. I know that within the last couple of years, the district has taken advantage, I don't know if that's the right word, but taken advantage of the culinary arts in allowing them to actually make some meals for district events that go on. For instance, the one that my kids are involved in, the Feast of Carols. I know that you folks did all of the meals, all of the food for that. Can you tell us about that? And
Sure.
I mean, that's got to be, I know I helped last year, I helped in the kitchen and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Busy. You guys are just as busy as you can be.
Feast of Carols, they also do the State of the District address, which I'll cover a little bit, and then we do some feed the staff type things. It gives the students a chance to actually take what they're learning in class and put it in a actual, what I'm going to call an operations type thing. They actually have to perform it with an outgoing product.
Yeah, something on the line. Huh?
Right, so Feast of Carols it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday matinee, and Saturday dinner event. Thursday is basically, they call it dessert night, and we serve, I think it's soup and dessert to about 200 people. Friday evening is about 280 people. It's a 6-course meal that includes a cheese ball with crackers, a salad, soup, there's one other thing on there, a vegetable tray. The main course, which this year's our main course, was roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans.
It was great, by the way.
And then we had thank you, because the students work really hard at getting it done.
Great.
And then they do cheesecake for dessert. And then the Saturday matinee, they get rid of the main course, but they have pretty much everything else. And then the Friday matinee, or the Saturday matinee again, is about 200 people. And then the Saturday dinner was, this year they added about 15 at the last notice. So the students getting, I'll explain that a little bit, was about 300. So all total, they're just under or just over 1,000 people in those 4 days, or those 3 days. But what we have to do is they have to understand that when you're catering an event, you don't try to figure, okay, we're going to feed 280. How much does it take to feed 280? You have to budget in overages, drop plates. So they have to figure out what percentage they're going to go over, so they make sure and have enough, just in case, like this one, they sold 20 additional seats.
Wow.
If we hadn't budgeted that in, they couldn't have fed them.
Sure. That could be disastrous.
And then they have to go into cost controls. How much did it cost to buy all the stuff? Did we buy it the best way? When we're done, we evaluate whether we purchased it the correct way. Did we purchase the correct amounts? Was there anything we were short on? Was there anything we were over on, so that the next year we can fine tune it a little bit? The 13th of February, we're feeding the district, the State of the District folks. There's about 40 we're going to feed there, where they're going to have lasagna with salad and dinner rolls.
Very good.
And then about 6 times a year, we feed the staff, where they get a chance to buy stuff that we're feeding, and it's stuff the students are cooking at that time, so that they can then again take that end product that they're building and put it out to the staff as we see what we're actually learning in class.
Excellent.
So they're able to put it into production.
How's it received by the staff? Are they good about it?
We get about, I'd say about a third of them. So I think it's a success. I mean, you can't expect everybody to do it, because, sometimes we have stuff that people don't want, and so, you don't expect them. But we get about a third of them, I think, about every time.
Very good, very good. Let me ask you, what's homework look like?
We don't have any.
Don't have any homework?
Nope. They get to do it all in class. There are things that we allow them to do at home, not because it's homework, but for instance, let's say a student is also involved in football. And so they have to leave for a football game, and so they can't stay and complete the class. Instead of telling them that they just don't get a good grade on that, we allow them to videotape them performing that assignment at home.
Very cool.
So for instance, if one of them we were making chicken tenders and French fries. They missed that day. Rather than saying, oh, you don't get a good grade for that, or give them the student a grade that they didn't do anything, which isn't right either. They can actually go home, videotape themselves making chicken tenders and French fries, where they have to actually cut the chicken breast, cut the potatoes, peel the potatoes, and then deep fry them after they've breaded the chicken tenders, and show them feeding their family chicken tenders. Now they can get the grade just as if they were in class.
That's great.
So they can do stuff at home, but we don't really ask them to do anything at home.
Great.
Everything we try to keep in the classroom so that, we can kind of make sure they're following all the safety procedures. And when they're done doing any cooking, they have to actually go back and get all the dishes done and follow all the procedures. They have to sweep and mop the floors every day. They get swept like 5 times a day.
Wow. So do you encourage them to go home and cook things for their family and be a part of the weekly menu?
We encourage that, and then really what really gets them is when we have our parent-teacher conferences and the parents come and see me. I actually ask them, did your kids cook this for you because they cooked it in class? Did they cook this for you because they cooked it in class? I gave them the recipe so they know how to cook it.
Very good.
So yeah, I throw them under the bus a little bit.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. Well, Mr. Crawford, I appreciate you coming out today.
Oh, not a
I learned
problem.
a lot. You actually have made me think of, I might like to take a culinary class. I think it'd be fun. It makes me think of the things that I don't know, and I enjoy cooking and cooking for my family. So I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm glad that we learned that there's a lot more to culinary arts than we think of just going in and baking some cookies or something like that.
Yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on School Zone, and we'll see you again soon.